it's exceptional weather. The answer to the other questions, climate change, it's roughly at the same level globally, which is what really matters. It's not just some peak temperatures in the UK. It's about the global average over 30 years, actually. But the temperatures at the moment are about the same as they were in 1998, 2016 and 2020. So for the last 25 years, it's not gone, give or take, 0.05 of a degree any higher. So that's the climate change story. As far as the weather is concerned, it depends whose records they are and when they began, because a lot of these records, they pick the starting point to suit the narrative. And if you go back into, say, the Central England temperature records, which the Met Office knows it's got, which go back to 1600 or so, you'll find there have been periods when it's been warmer than now. So, it's a hot spell.
Well,
it's weather.
So let's bring on Jim Dale, because Jim Dale, he's a meteorologist. Jim Dale, it's just weather. It's just weather. The way it is, we've got, 6 consecutive days or 4 consecutive days, 30 degrees, the highest temperature ever recorded in September. It's just weather. It depends when and where you measure it. That's the sort of argument that Brian is making.
Well, just about to break another record, right on the cusp of it now for this time of year. So, look, there's a little bit of weather in there. Of course there is. It does get hot occasionally. It's definitely not a scare story because the data is absolutely proven. I'm looking right above my head here at a big list of temperatures as they stand. So there's no lying about this. And when you string together, like has happened, one event singularly, you would not say, okay, that's climate change. I would never say that about anything. But when you start to join the dots, when you start to look around to see what's going on, when you look at our own country and see that we're on our 7th day of consecutive September days of being over 30 degrees in some place, then something's going on behind that. When you look at ocean temperatures at record levels, when you look at the records that have fallen in France of the last couple of days and right across the world in the Southern Hemisphere as well, I think I hope I'm still there.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Jim. I can hear you and your eyes darting around your weather clock or whatever you've got in the corner there. But OK, Jim, but what would you say to this then? Because recently it's reported in the Telegraph that the climate scientist has admitted overplaying the impact of global warming on wildfires to ensure that his work was published in the prestigious science journal Nature. Now, you see, this is the thing. This person's actually admitting
I heard about
to
this.
get his work published. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he's from the Breakthrough Institute. That maybe says it all in terms of the pressure he's on to get something out there. Now, just on the point, when he was questioned by scientists on this and why he didn't give the full story, that's the right thing to do. That's what scientists do. They actually look at these things and see why this guy's saying this and see why it's not actually a breakthrough in this case. I think it was on the wildfire case. And, there is pressure. But I tell you what, there's greater pressure on the other side to actually disprove climate change without a shadow of a doubt. This year has been an absolute annihilation.
Would you say that, Brian? He's saying that there's great pressure to try and disprove this. But I think the pressure is to force people to accept it. But what do you think, Brian Catt?
You're required to obey the narrative and teach it and the teachers are told to teach it in schools, even though it's completely unproven at the moment. And Jim says he's got numbers there, by the way. Those are the numbers from the NASA satellite, Jim, and they don't say what you say. So
what do they say?
There is some legacy data which says something different, but the best data comes from the NASA satellite constellation, which is reported by 2 quite independent bodies. And it shows that it is not hotter than it's ever been, and it's about the global average over 30 years. It's not about what's happening in the UK.
Brian, you're on the wrong side of history, mate. I say that openly to you. You're there to deny, and that's what you do. You come up with your little grass. Just go and speak to NASA.
Hold on. No, Jim, hold on. Wait a minute. Jim, he gave you his thoughts and he accepted them, but said disprove them with logic rather than just saying he's got his little graph and everything. Yeah,
okay. So I can put up some superb graphs to show you where the temperatures are going, both in the ocean and in the atmosphere and on the land, particularly in the last 2 years. The acceleration is like the face of the Eiger in terms of temperature. Why do you think we have climate control in the first place? Why do you think this has come to be? Why do you think virtually who's meeting today? The G20, and what is their number one subject? Climate change. Why is all of this happening when Brian, in his office there, is suggesting there's nothing going on? Well, so it's not NASA, Noah, and everybody else versus Brian and his mates.
Well, you don't know. The number one subject could be what they're having for lunch. Brian, respond.
Well, I've got thousands of colleagues who are able to say the truth. Some of them are in Clintel, Nobel Prize winners who all actually look at the data rather than repeat the narrative. The answer to your other question, of course, is that this is nothing to do with the climate. It's to do with deindustrialising the West in favour of Asia, which is what the UN Agenda 2130 is about.
That's your political argument, isn't it?
Well,
that's your political argument.
That is why carbon dioxide was picked as a problem.
Well, there's a point. We seem to think that carbon dioxide is the spawn of Satan, but without it, we're all in trouble without carbon. Well, listen, we can carry on with this discussion later on. We will be talking about the weather in the next hour. Thank you very much, Brian Catt, and also Jim Dale. Really good to talk to you both. Thanks for your views.